sexual harassment po ba between the fellow employees na parehas lang ng rank and position sa company?
Sexual harassment po ba between employees na parehas lang yung rank and position sa company?
Ano po pag na-dismiss ang kaso ng sexual harassment? Matatanggal po ba sa trabaho yung nagrereklamo?
Yung po bang joke-joke ng isang boss na may sexual na tema ay sexual harassment na?
Dapat magsumbong kapag may sexual harassment.
Paano po pag binalikan ang nagrereklamo ng kanyang boss?
May sexual harassment po ba kung sa labas ng office nangyari between boss and staff?
Para sa akin po, yung sexual harassment is, halimbawa may na-violate na employee, sexual, pwedeng indirect or direct, and either verbal, physical, between employees.
Sexual harassment ay hindi lang po para sa mga babae, para din po sa mga lalaki. Lahat naman po kasi na-harass pagdating sa sexual harassment.
Harassment for me, isang mali siya sa pagitan ng isang babae at lalaki kapag ginambas ko yung babae.
Ang sexual harassment ay isang malicious na ginagawa ng isang lalaki sa babae without consent, at ito ay hindi dapat tinotolerate sa kahit na saan mang lugar, sa kahit na anumang sitwasyon. Sa akin, ang sexual harassment ay hindi lang lalaki yung offender, pwede rin po siyang babae. Parehas po dapat, kumbaga applicable po sa lahat yun, babae o lalaki, pwede pong makakomit ng sexual harassment. Siya po ay either intentional or unintentional. Meron po tayong law na nakabay doon kung pagdating sa sexual harassment.
Yung sexual harassment ko is yung kapag yung guy or other girls is may ginagawa sa'yo na hindi mo binibigyan ng consent. Example, folding yung different parts ng body mo nang walang consent. Para sa kapag yung sexual harassment.
Ano yung sexual harassment para sa inyo?
Pang-harassment. Kahit na hindi ka manipuan or yung the way na pananalita niya.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen! Na-miss nyo ba ako? Yun, no? So, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, and welcome dito sa ating webinar for the month of April. And ladies and gentlemen, napakaganda po ng topic natin for today because this is very timely, and I'm sure that all of you are very excited to hear this, no? Sana po ay marami kayong mapulot na lessons dito sa ating pag-uusapan this afternoon. This is very timely, no? This is very timely, especially now that we are in this pandemic. Napakaraming mga nangyayari sa mga workplaces. So just focus, no? And we promise to give you a very, should I say, not only informative, but very entertaining and very interesting webinar this afternoon. Alam niyo po, I can say that probably this will be one of the best webinars na ma-attendan ninyo because today, with the collaboration ng ating guest speaker, napakaganda po talaga ng kanyang idea na binigay sa atin, no? And we were able to come up with a presentation, a format that is really ayoko i-preempt. It's so hard to describe, no, the format that we are going to have this afternoon. One thing is for sure, you will learn a lot from our webinar this afternoon. And at the end of the webinar, I'm sure na lahat po tayo will be empowered, and we will not only learn, sabi nga kanina, we will also be entertained. So alam nyo naman, learning is easy when it is fun. So if you're having fun, the learning naturally comes in. So that's what we intend to achieve for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow employees, no, gusto ko na pong i-introduce ang ating guest speaker for today. Medyo nahirapan po tayong kumuha ng kanyang schedule, pero fortunately ay tayo naman po ay kanyang pinagbigyan, no? Nung inisip po namin itong topic natin for this afternoon, sexual harassment, sabi ko kailangan kumuha tayo ng speaker who is really an authority when it comes to this, no? It's not because marami siyang experience tungkol dito, hindi po yon, no? Pero pagdating po sa interpretation at pagdating po sa application nitong batas na to, he is really an authority, no? Talagang ako po personally, I always consult him, no? When it comes to matters like this, at talaga naman pong every time na nagbibigay siya ng kanyang inputs ay talagang detalyado and very practical. So ngayon po mapapakinggan niyo siya kung gaano siya ka-practical at kung gaano po kaganda niya ilalatag sa ating lahat itong topic na ito. Kung titingnan niyo po, this is a very sensitive topic, no? Medyo parang pag pinag-uusapan to, lahat tayo, should I say, parang nahihirapan tayong intindihin talaga, no? Itong batas na to. But as I've said, with the format that we are going to do this afternoon, this is going to be fun, this is going to be entertaining, and more importantly, and most importantly, rather, you will really learn so much from our webinar for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, hindi ko na po patatagalin, no? Ang ating pong speaker, pakinggan niyo po ito, no? Isa po siyang dating seminarista po siya. Okay? Medyo, hindi naman po mahirap paniwalaan, pero kailangan po nating paniwalaan that he was a former seminarian at San Pablo Major Seminary in Baguio City. Ito pong seminaryo na ito, no? Itong San Pablo Major Seminary, this is affiliated with the Pontifical Urbanian University in Rome, Italy. Wow, di ba? So ito po ay directly sanctioned ng ating Pope, no? And he graduated in 1994 with the degree of Bachelor of Arts major in Philosophy. Listen to this, no? Cum laude. Cum laude po. Cum laude po siya. And he was a grantee of the State Scholarship Program. So after he took up his pre-grad course, which is philosophy, he then took up law. Okay? Siya po ay nag-aral ng abogasya at the University of Santo Tomas here in España, Metro Manila. He graduated in the year 1998, no? Bata pa po ako nito. And he was a Dean's Lister, a consistent Dean's Lister during his time in the College of Law. And he was a grantee of the UST Law Alumni Scholarship Foundation, Santo Tomas Scholarship, Santo Domingo Scholarship, and listen to this, he was one of the three university representative to the Harvard University Project for Asian and International Relations in 1997 and 1998. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, ang tindi po ng credential niya. Let's see kung ano po ang ibibigay niya sa atin this afternoon. Palakpakan po natin ang ating resource person. Should I say, paano ba to? Paano ba natin i-introduce to? No? Hindi naman natin pwede sabing Mr. Harassment himself. Bakit? No? So, ang ating pong resource speaker, the very dynamic and very energetic, no? Ang ating pong abogado, si Attorney John Pig.
Okay na? Ako na? Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Medyo kinakabahan ako. Sabi ko kay Mr. Resio kanina, mas kinakabahan pa nga ako kaysa nung hearing sa Senado eh. But anyway, nung tumawag sa akin si Mr. Resio para nga sa webinar na ito, initially nag-decline ako. Hindi dahil nga sa ayaw ko, kundi yung mga panahon na yon, marami lang po kong ginagawa. Pero sabi niya sa akin, boss, hindi pwedeng tumanggi. Tanong ko naman sa kanya, bakit naman hindi pwede? Napag-usapan na yan sa Mancom. Nandun sina Boss Bob at saka si Ma'am Jing, sabi niya. So tanong ko sa kanya, kailan ba yan? So, kung narinig mo na yung boss Bob sa Ma'am Chin, hindi, wala ka na pong magagawa. No? Tapos sabi niya sa akin noon, at ngayon din, sabi lang niya kanina, our topic is very interesting, exciting, and entertaining. Napag-isip ko, what's entertaining and exciting about harassment? So, medyo natauhan ako. Sabi ko sa sarili ko, oo nga pala, no? Uusap ko pala yung kabagang ni Randy Bunsol na who finds anything na may sexual ay interesting. No? Anyway, hindi po ako magle-lecture, no? Hindi ako magle-lecture sa webinar na ito. Kung paano tayo mag-usap sa kantin, sa baba, no? Sa mga driver, sa ano. Ganun din po yung ating ganun din po yung gagawin natin sa webinar na ito. Kwentuhan lang. Pero sisiguraduhin ko naman na itong kwentuhan na ito ay may kwenta. Ika nga dapat yung salaysay may saysay, no? So, yung topic natin ngayon, yung sexual harassment, basically, no, it's governed by Republic Act 7877, no? Ang pamagat po ng batas na yon is Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. Nung prepare namin itong slides na ating papalabas kanina, mamaya, medyo naging sentimental si Mr. Resio. Ba't ka nalulungkot, sabi ko? Boss, medyo nalala ko lang nung college ako. Doon sa RA 7877, sabi niya. Ano naman yung 7877 na yan? Sabi, nalala ko, kung hindi 78, 77 po yung grade ko. Anyway, bago natin simulan at pag-aralan kung ano yung nakasaad dito sa batas na ito, marahil maganda po na pag-usapan din natin yung dahilan kung bakit na isa batas itong Anti-Sexual Harassment Act na ito. Sa aming mga abogado, malimit na binabanggit yung katagang it is the spirit life to its letters. No? The letter of the law is what the law states. No? But the spirit of the law is the aim or purpose of the law, or the reason behind the enactment of this law. No? It is the spirit of the law that gives meaning to the letters of the law. No? And it is only by appreciating the spirit of the law that we will be able to better understand and appreciate the beauty of this law. No? So itong spirit of the law nito na binabanggit ko ay nasa Section 2 ng Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. So naka-flash screen, no? Sabi niya, the state shall value the dignity of every individual. And this is what strikes me. No? It is the recognition by the law of the dignity of every person, the dignity of every individual. Alam niyo po, all humans are born equal in dignity and rights. Lahat-lahat tayo pantay-pantay, no? Regardless of our race, color, position, power, wealth, ating profesyon, no? Hindi to batayan sa ating pagkatao. No? Para pantay-pantay lahat tayo. No? Position and power, yung fortune natin, they do not define us as persons. No? Kasi nga, lahat tayo we are born equal. No? Equal in worth in every person, sabi nga. Now, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act empowers us to stand up for that human dignity. And we can take action in our workplace by creating an awareness to protect this basic human right. And so, together, we can stand up united and firm to ensure the dignity of all. No? Dahil nga dito sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act na to. Naisip ko, ano, if we commit a sexual harassment, more than violating the law, every act of sexual harassment is a desecration of this human dignity that is inherent in every person. At saka, may mas masama pa dyan, no? More than desecrating the dignity of that human person. Every time we do sexual harassment, pinapakita lang po natin kung gaano tayo kasama. Yung disrespect natin sa tao na yun. And it is a manifestation kung gaano tayo, sabi ko nga sa'yo, kung gaano kasama ang ating ugali. And it is my fervent hope na that no sexual harassment will ever happen in this community, in this company. And we refrain from committing this horrible act, not out of fear for the sanctions, but because we just value that human dignity that is in every person around us. Just as we wish that others will also value our own human dignity. And I also hope that this respect for human dignity will go beyond sexual harassment. We respect every person in every day of our lives. Sa community, sa trabaho, everyone. Especially to the little ones who cannot defend themselves, and who cannot fight us back. So, doon po yung ano. So sexual harassment is all about respect for human dignity. So yun po yung ano. So yun po yung spirit ng batas na ito. No? Is to uphold and preserve the human dignity that is inherent in every person. Sabi ko nga kanina, if we violate this law, if we commit an act of sexual harassment, we just the law. We also disrespect that human person. Yung dignity niya, violate natin yung dignidad, yung dangal ng tao. Okay? So, ano nga ba itong sexual harassment na to? No? Sa tagal-tagal ko na po sa Hillmarks, siguro maliban noong Christmas program noong December 2014, ngayon lang po talaga ako nagsalita sa audience. No? Kaya ginalingan namin ni Mr. Resio. No? So somehow I would say na I came prepared. No? Now, to help us in our discussion of what sexual harassment is, we actually engage some actors and actresses to portray certain scenes, to provide us a visualization of the concept of sexual harassment. So, may hinanda kaming palabas at panoorin niyo po ito. Okay?
I'm with the advanced product. I feel such a warmth, cutting edge. I feel a kinship. And I've always wanted to be able to give you the most advanced, the most original leadership that I could. Push the envelope.
How are you, Stephanie? I'm sorry you didn't get your promotion. I'm sorry you didn't get it either.
There's always been so much opposition.
How long have you known?
Naysayers and poo-pooers to any break with
Really, that long?
And every time I've wanted to promote a woman to break the glass ceiling, it's always been the same story. But Bob. I've thought about it often since my daughter's death, that in today's climate, had she lived, it would be extremely rare that she ever got to run a company. So it has a special meaning for me when I tell you that this Friday, when we announce the merger, we will also announce that the new vice president for advanced operations and planning here in Seattle will be Meredith Johnson. Meredith?
University.
Sorry I didn't get a chance to mention you. Bob asked me to keep it short.
It's okay, it's fine.
Look, I'm jammed all day, but why don't you come up around 7 and we'll have a drink and catch up on a little business?
Sure, that'd be great.
Remember how you liked a good bottle of wine. I'll get one.
Yeah, Lou, and this is Sanders. I've discussed the drives with Meredith. She says do not say anything to the Conley people until we found out exactly what the problems are. That is a line for the 8 a.m. meeting tomorrow. If there's... Get down to business. Wait a second. Wait a second, Meredith. Wait a second.
There, was that so bad?
No, that's not so bad, but it's just...
Come on, Mom, there's still a chance we might get caught.
Meredith. No.
Oh, yes, I think so.
Meredith, no.
You know, some things never change. Some things just get better.
Meredith. Oh. Meredith.
You remember all the things we did?
I remember.
Things nobody knows about you but me. All our secrets.
Oh, God, look at us.
Come on, I want you inside me.
No. I can't do this.
Put it in.
I'm not going to do this.
Come on now.
I'm not
Come on
gonna do this.
now.
No.
You can't stop.
No.
You just stop.
So actually, yung movie clips na yan, we lifted from the movie Disclosure na pinagbibidahan nga ni Michael Douglas at saka ni Demi Moore. No? Kahapon, habang ini-splice namin yung yung movie clips, medyo yung IT natagalan. Akala ko mahirap gawin. Ngayon pala, paulit-ulit na binapanood. No? Tapos nung pina-check kay Mr. Resio, napanood niya, sabi niya, sana all. Anyway, now, just a bit of a background dun sa movie. No? Si Tom, which is being portrayed by Michael Douglas, had a past with Meredith Johnson. It's being portrayed naman by Demi Moore. No? Tom Sanders was expecting for a promotion as vice president of the company. Pero nakuha ni Demi Moore, no? Ni Meredith Johnson yung posisyon. Dahil si Meredith Johnson was instrumental in the merger that would infuse an investment of 100 million to the company. No? So yun yung background na ng eksena yun. Let's go to another clip.
I feel such a warmth.
The other day, ito naman yung nangyari sa sumunod na araw.
Meredith told me about your meeting last night.
What? What'd she tell you?
She wants to handle the intervention internally, which is best for everyone. She still cares about you, Tom.
Wait a minute. What did she say?
Not to put too fine a point on it, she said you sexually harassed her.
I sexually harassed her.
What would you call it?
Phil, she jumped me in her office.
She jumped you. You're in denial. That's typical.
She did everything short of rape me, Phil.
You need help, Tom. You have to accept responsibility.
Responsibility? What do you call this? What about that?
Looks to me like she was forced to defend herself.
Defend herself? The woman's probably on a Stairmaster an hour a day. She can kick the shit out of both of us.
Look, it may have seemed different to you at the
I did
time.
not harass her, okay? She harassed me.
I never even heard of such a thing, a woman harassing a man.
What are you doing here now? Why are you
I'm
here
here
right
as
now?
your friend.
As my friend, my ass, you're my friend.
When Garvin finds out about this, he's gonna want to throw you out on your ass and never look back.
So, yun po yung nangyari kinabukasan. No? nakita natin kung ano yung actual na nangyari sa gabi na yon. Pero kinabukasan, binaliktad ngayon si Tom Sanders. Pinalabas ngayon na siya yung that he harassed Meredith Johnson. So, ang tanong diyan So, tanong natin is, did Tom Sanders sexually harass Meredith? No? Ang sayang walang hindi interactive, no? There's no sexual harassment. For the very simple reason na kasi nakita natin dun sa clips, no? Na si Meredith yung aggressor. No? So hindi pwedeng Tom cannot be held liable for sexual harassment because it was Meredith who is the aggressor. Now, ngayon, assuming Tom is the aggressor, as Meredith reported, would he be guilty of sexual harassment? No. The answer would be ito. Look at the next slide. Tom cannot be held guilty for sexual harassment because sexual harassment is not about sex. Sexual harassment is about power. It is abuse of power. Kaya nga, in Section 3 of the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, makikita natin dito, no? Sabi niya, work-related sexual harassment is committed by an employer, employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employer, or any other person who having authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another. So sexual harassment is an offense committed by a superior over a subordinate. So, next, na-establish na natin, no, na ang aggressor si Meredith, and then Meredith siya yung superior. Okay. Now, gusto ko sanang tanungin yung mga abogado natin dito, no? What if Michael Douglas knocks on your door and asks you this question? Pakinggan po natin.
Mr. Sanders, why are you here?
I want to know what my options are.
What your options are?
I want to know whether I can sue her for sexual harassment.
Well, to do that, you'd have to convince a jury that you were alone in a room with Miss Teenage New Mexico, and you said.
So, pwede bang kasuhan ni Tom Sanders yung kanyang boss for sexual harassment? Bago po natin sagutin yan, gaya ng nasabi ko sa iyo kanina, no, we will discuss this together and figure out what sexual harassment is all about. So, I think you have to watch this next clip. No?
Call security. Throw him out on the sidewalk.
Bob, we have to appear to be impartial. Keep him in his job, keep paying him, no hassles.
Hey, Tom Sanders, who the hell is he to sue me?
Sexual harassment under Title VII. He says he'll file with the State Human Rights Commission tomorrow morning if we don't fire Meredith. And
if he files, it becomes public. It'd blow the deal.
We all realize that, Bob. Obviously, so does he. He's blackmailing us.
This is America, goddammit. The legal system is supposed to protect people like me.
So, yun po yung isang eksena sa movie, ano? And then I would like for you to read itong provision ng batas na ito on what really constitutes sexual harassment. So, under Section 3 ng Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, in a work-related or employment environment, sexual harassment is committed when the sexual favor is made as a condition in the hiring or in the employment of an individual, no? Or in granting said individual favorable compensation, terms, conditions, promotions, or privileges. Or the refusal to grant a sexual favor results in limiting, segregating, or classifying the employee which in any way would discriminate, deprive, or diminish employment opportunities or otherwise adversely affect the said employee. No? Next, if the above acts would impair the employee's rights or privileges under existing labor laws, or the above acts would result in an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment to the employee. With these parameters, ang tanong natin dyan, can Tom Sanders hold Meredith Johnson for sexual harassment? The answer would be no. Okay? Despite the fact that Meredith is the boss, Meredith is the aggressor. While the assault was sexual in nature, parang lumalabas, no, there were no strings attached. Remember, nung unang eksena, sabi ni Meredith Johnson, things do not change. They just get better. Sabi niya. So parang lumalabas, parang for old time's sake, kasi nga diba, nabanggit natin kanina, nagkaroon sila noon ng relasyon. No? So masasabi natin na despite na in-initiate ng boss yung sexual encounter nila with a subordinate, wala pong naganap na sexual harassment because walang sexual advance na ginawa ng as a condition for better terms of employment or discrimination from work. So, with this, medyo maliwanag na kung ano ang konsepto ng sexual harassment. No? Number one, it is committed by a boss over a subordinate. Number two, the boss must be the aggressor. And number three, the sexual aggression must be a condition to better terms of employment. Yung acceptance, no? The acceptance of that sexual aggression is a condition to better terms of employment, or the refusal would result to discrimination from work. So, yun po yung tatlong elements para maging liable ka for sexual harassment under Republic Act 7877. While the act of Meredith Johnson does not fall under the statutory definition of sexual harassment, her behavior, however, under Philippine setting, may hold her liable for some offenses. Right? So ano yung mga posibleng, so hindi man siya magiging liable for sexual harassment under Republic Act 7877. Pwede naman po siyang maging liable sa mga ibang mga batas, no? So ito, no? Una, pwede kang maging administratively liable for gross misconduct as may be provided under the Code of Discipline ng company. Okay? So, kaya nga po, no, nung nagkaroon ng dun sa movie na yon, nagkaroon ng investigasyon kung ano talaga yung nangyari. Ito po yung kinadatnan ni Meredith Johnson. Yan.
I'm surprised you didn't come up here to gloat.
No, floating is underrated, but actually I came here to pick up the Archimex files I left.
Some very smart people underrated you, Sanders.
Thank you, Meredith.
Not including myself. I beat you, Sanders. I beat you fair and square. Garvin lost his nerve. He's the one that came up with the brilliant idea about firing you for incompetence. Him and Phil. And I'm the one getting fired.
Never seen you play the victim before. It's probably the only good quality you have.
I'm only playing the game the way you guys set it up, and I'm being punished for it.
Yun po, ano, doon sa movie, nagkaroon ng investigasyon and it was established that Meredith Johnson was the aggressor. So she was fired. No? Administratively, no? So hindi na siya yung vice president. No? Another possible liability would be independent civil action for damages. No? Pwede kang kasuhan sa husgado para bayaran mo yung biktima ng danyos. No? At exactly, this is also what happened doon sa movie na yun. No? Si Tom Sanders, nag-file siya ng mediation. Right?
Bill said that you get your job back, you get $100 grand in pain and suffering, and I get fees and expenses.
And Meredith?
She stays through the merger next week, and then they make an announcement that she has to leave for some medical, whatever, emergency. She's out. This is total and complete vindication.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yes! Oh, man.
So, yun, no? Bukod sa natanggal si Meredith, Tom Sanders was awarded $100,000 in damages. So, another possible liability, kung hindi ka man masentensyahan sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, would be unjust vexation, punishable under the revised penal code. Ano ba itong tinatawag na unjust vexation? Unjust vexation is any human conduct without violence that unjustly annoys a person. And in one case decided by the Supreme Court, no, sabi niya, embracing and kissing another person constitutes an act of unjust vexation. Nainis mo siya, annoyed mo. So, aside from unjust vexation, pwede ka rin kasuhan ng acts of lasciviousness. Now, ano po yung acts of lasciviousness, no? Acts of lasciviousness would refer to acts of making a physical contact with the body of another person for the purpose of obtaining sexual gratification other than or without intention of sexual intercourse. So, yun po yung definition ng acts of lasciviousness. Dapat refer lang to, hindi reverse. Sorry. And another possible liability would be, depending on the circumstances, you may be held liable for rape or attempted rape, as the case may be. Right? Depende, no, yung gravity ng yung aggression ng offender. Kung wala dito sa lima na to, merong batas ngayon. Nakita kasi ng loophole na yung Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. No? So itong Kongreso nagpasaulin ng isang batas. Para ito yung catch-all provision for any sexual advances. No? Yung gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace under the Safe Spaces Act. So medyo mahaba ito, ano? Medyo mahaba itong batas na to. Pero kung babasahin natin, it would refer to any act involving any unwelcome sexual advance. So, any act that would have a sexual undertone, pwede kang kasuhan under the Safe Spaces Act. At ito pa, no, which is, ito yung malaking pagkakaiba nila sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. No? Di ba sinasabi natin kanina sa Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, the offender must be a superior. Pero dito sa gender-based sexual harassment under the Safe Spaces Act, no, it may also be committed between peers and by a subordinate to a superior officer. So, kanina sinasabi natin, di ba, hindi pwedeng maging liable si Tom Sanders kasi siya yung subordinate, no? But even assuming na ginawa niya yon, pwede na siya dito sa, it can be committed by a subordinate against a superior. Right? So, those are the possible liabilities na you can be held liable, no? for any sexual advance. So, ano yung mga penalties nila for a violation of yung Anti-Sexual Harassment Act? Under the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, pwede kang mabilanggo 1 month to 6 months or mamulta from 10,000 to 20,000 or both. Depende sa discretion ng husgado. Doon naman po sa Safe Spaces Act, pwedeng fine from 1,000 to 500,000, community service, or imprisonment of up to 6 months. Okay. Doon naman sa unjust vexation, imprisonment of 1 to 30 days or a fine from 1,000 to not more than 40,000 pesos or both. Sa acts of lasciviousness naman, from 6 months to 6 years. Yung rape, from 20 to 40 years. Wala pong piyansa ito. So, yun po yung mga penalties na for violation for committing an act of sexual harassment. Now, gaya sabi nga nila, prevention is better than cure. So there is a duty imposed doon sa mga employer to prevent sexual harassment. Kalagay dito, it is the duty of the employer to prevent or deter the commission of acts of sexual harassment and to provide the procedures for the resolution, settlement, or prosecution of acts of sexual harassment. So, ito naman ginagawa na ng HR, no? Katulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, itong webinar na to, this is part of it, no? So, it is the duty of the employer to disseminate yung batas, to provide measures to prevent sexual harassment, to promulgate appropriate rules and regulations, and to create an independent internal mechanism or committee on decorum and investigation to address complaints for sexual harassment. So, ito ginagawa na yata ng ating HR. Moving on to another topic, I would like you to watch this next clip.
He's heading for the elevator now.
You heading back to the mediation?
Yeah, I gotta get back. It's starting.
Come on, I'll give you a lift. Don't you think it's time we talked, you and me? Now, as I understand it, you both had a chance to get it off your chest, your version of what happened. Now I want it to stop.
What I got off my chest was not a version.
Only somebody's version. That's the legacy of the modern age. We have information, but no truth. Little flashes of electrons in a grain of sand.
I'm telling the truth, Bob.
You can look at this thing from all sides.
How many sides are there?
Well, so, all right, let's say she made a mistake. So what? I mean, she made a pass, that's all. She put her hand on your knee. You could have decided it was flattering. You could have just taken it off. You could have handled it any number of ways. But this vindictiveness, Tom, I have to tell you, I'm surprised.
It's against the law. I'm employed by her. I work for her.
No, you work for me. I mean, and that's what I'm trying to say, really. After all the years, why didn't you just come to me, not go hire this woman, this lawyer?
Well, maybe I should have.
I mean, why can't you just forget it, you know? Work together like civilized adults, and everybody makes a pile of money down the line. What's wrong with that?
Things have gone too far.
No, things can go back.
Why? Why would he offer to settle now?
Well, they probably realized how much they gotta lose.
Oh, no, he had us on the run all morning. It doesn't add up.
Maybe there's a weakness or some vulnerability we don't know about.
So, makikita po natin dun sa video clip na ito, no? Actually, yung kasama ni Michael Douglas, yun ang presidente nila. Ang pangalan niya, siya si Boss Bob nila. Bob din yung pangalan, no? So, makikita natin na yung presidente ng kumpanya, sinusubukan niyang aregluhin si Tom Sanders, no? Si Michael Douglas, para wag nang magreklamo. under Philippine setting, under Philippine law, that would make the company liable. No? Under under Section 5 actually, no? Under Section 5 ng Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. The employer shall be liable for damages arising from the acts of sexual harassment committed in the employment environment if the employer is informed of such acts and no immediate action is taken thereon. Ito, pinapenalize na yung, kung if you sit down on the complaint, penalize ka na. How much more kung subukan mong aregluhin yung kaso. So, if the company does that, the company is liable. Although hindi mabibilanggo yun, no? Mamumulta lang siya anywhere from 5,000 to 15,000 pesos. So basically, yun po yung nilalaman ng batas on sexual harassment, no? So na-establish natin what are the elements of sexual harassment, no? The penalties, and the duties and responsibilities of the employer. Bilang pangwakas sa aking sharing na ito, no? Gusto kong panoorin nyo itong 2 clips, no? Still, pareho, no? Galing din sa movie na Disclosure.
I'm offering you a chance to make a new life. Keep your family out of this mess. Keep your job. Obviously, with some kind of lateral move.
Lateral. When you say lateral, you mean out of the division.
You can't stay here, Tom. She's scared out of her wits.
I am not leaving this division. I have spent 10 years of my life here. I built this place, okay? Now we got a spin-off going
We're
on.
thinking, Austin.
I'd love to hear what you'd say if it happened to you.
You know how many times this has happened to me.
Wait a minute, you never said this
You're
ever
so
happened.
goddamn narcissistic. Nothing ever happens until it happens to you.
Well, if somebody did this to you, you should have said something
Well,
about
women
it.
have always done, Tom. I deal with it. I do not make a federal case out of it. Now go in there tomorrow and work it out.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I should just shut up and fuck her. I mean, what the hell?
Just apologize. Apologize and get your job back. And get on with
Apologize?
it.
The children are sleeping.
Well, wait a minute. I got a better idea. Why don't I just admit it? Why don't I be that guy, that evil white male you're all complaining about? I like it. Then I can fuck everybody.
Tom, stop it.
Hey, Chowman, come on down here. Will you? I want to exercise my dominance.
Scaring her.
I'm getting a patriarchal urge.
Tom, the children.
Yeah, my children, all right? My children that I provide for and protect. That they can come in here between me and my wife, move my family out, take my job, and take the family in the house that we have made. And I apologize to them, Susan. They call me a rapist and I apologize. Oh, come on, Susan. This is some kind of...
Kita po natin dun sa video clips na dalawang pinakita natin, ano? Na the company is trying to move or transfer Tom Sanders from Seattle to Austin. Kasi nga, umiiwas sila sa kontrobersya. So you just imagine, i-uproot ka sa, kung ita-transfer ka all the way from one place to another just to get rid of you. Makita rin yung yung pangalawang clips. Nag-aaway na silang mag-asawa. Okay. Pero alam naman natin na yung akusasyon kay Tom Sanders, gawa-gawa lang. It's a trump-up charge. Nakita natin it was Meredith who was the aggressor. And at the end of the video clip na pinakita natin nung una, nag-resist nga si Tom Sanders. Pero it was unfortunate na nangyari sa kanila. For the very simple reason na ginawan lang siya ng demanda. Gawa-gawa lang yung charge sa kanya. So, Ano ko ito, nung napanood ko ito, I made a realization. Sabi ko, while the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act is a powerful tool to uphold the dignity of a human person, especially women, kung inabuso pala, pwede rin palang gamitin ito na pangharas. Gaya yung nakita natin dito, yung nangyari kay Tom Sanders. No? Wala siyang kasalanan, pero gawa-gawa lang yung charge sa kanya, and look at what's happening sa kanya. No? Almost, no? Nawalan siya ng trabaho, at saka muntik-muntikan naghiwalay na rin silang magkapamilya. Because of a trump-up charge against him. So, sana we will be more careful and more fair in applying this law. Let us utilize this law to its fullest extent for the purpose for which it was intended. Sana huwag magamit itong batas na ito para mangharas din sa mga inosente. Kasi kawawa naman sila. Kaya nga, I would like to end with another clip, no? Nung nagkaroon ng hearing dun sa mediation na final ni Tom Sanders. Ito yung sabi ng abogado ni Tom Sanders kay Meredith Johnson. Ito. Nasaan na yung last clip? Kapakinggan niyo, ang ganda nung sinabi ng lawyer ni Tom Sanders, no? Si Catherine Alvarez.
Isn't that what we tell women? Do men deserve less?
Well, when he really wanted to stop, he didn't seem to have any problems doing it, did he?
And that's when you got angry.
Of course I got angry, so would anyone.
Don't we tell women that they can stop at any point?
Haven't you ever said no and meant yes, Mrs. Alvarez?
Up until the moment of actual
And the point
penetration.
is, he was willing. That tape doesn't change anything.
The point is, you control the meeting. You set the time. You order the wine. You locked the door. You demanded service, and then you got angry when he didn't provide it. So you decided to get even, to get rid of him with this trumped-up charge. Ms. Johnson, the only thing you have proven is that a woman in power can be every bit as abusive as a man.
So, yun po, yung sinabi ni Attorney Alvarez kay Meredith Johnson, no? A woman in power can every bit be as abusive as a man. That is, if we abuse this law. So sana, kaya ng sinabi ko kanina, let's execute this to its fullest extent sa mga liable, but we should be responsible in utilizing this law para naman hindi maagrabyado yung mga inosente. And with that, I end my sharing, and I hope you learned a little something from it. So, Mr. Recio, take charge.
Thank you very much, Attorney John. That was very, talaga naman pong enlightening, no? Ang ganda, very, very, sabi ko po sa inyo, talagang ang ganda ng pagkaka-illustrate, no? Ang ganda ng pagkaka-illustrate. It's very clear, and of course, gusto rin natin pasalamatan ng ating IT group, ang ating technical group, no, for the assistance, no, na ginawa po nila in coming up with this presentation. Attorney John, we cannot thank you enough for doing this, no? Napakaganda talaga nung presentation mo, and alam niyo po, this coming Sunday, kung makakalibre kayo, meron pong isa pang engagement si Attorney John, eh. He will be speaking, no, in front of the National Organization of HR Professionals all over the Philippines, no? At ito pong topic na ibinigay niya sa atin ngayon, this will be the very same topic na kanya pong i-deliver this coming Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Live po ito. This is a free webinar that Attorney John will be doing for the entire organization of HR professionals all over the country. Pero lamang po tayo because we heard it first, mga kapatid. So, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And siguro hingan ko lang ng final na lang, mga two-liners lang si Attorney John before we finally set him free for this afternoon. So, Attorney John, you're back on screen.
Well, so yun, I hope I was able to explain to you the concept of sexual harassment, the beauty behind it, na nakapaloob dun sa declaration of policy niya. No? Yung diniscuss ko kanina na sexual harassment, anti-sexual harassment is basically respect for human dignity. No? Sabi ko nga, it's not about sex. No? It's abuse of power. No? That constitutes basically yung offense ng sexual harassment. Gaya din na nabanggit ko na, ulitin ko na lang, no? It's a very powerful tool actually. Pero I hope we will not misuse it at the expense of an innocent. So, with that, again, thank you so much for having me.
Talakpakan naman natin si Attorney John. Woo! Grabe, punong-puno ang ating studio ngayon. Punong-puno po tayo. And once again, thank you very much, Attorney John. And maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nasa project sites. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Let's all stay safe. Andyan pa rin po ang virus. Katabi lang natin. Sumasayaw together with us. So let's all continue to exercise our health and safety protocols. Magandang hapon po. And we would like to thank our bosses for their support dito po sa ating mga webinars na ginagawa. So see you again in our next webinar. That will be next week, I think, or following next week after next week. No? So basta week. So yun lang po. Magandang hapon. And may God be praised.
May sexual harassment po ba between the fellow employees na parehas lang ng rank and position sa company?
Sexual harassment po ba between employees na parehas lang yung rank and position sa company?
Paano po pag na-dismiss ang kaso ng sexual harassment? Matatanggal po ba sa trabaho yung nagrereklamo?
Yun po bang joke ng isang boss na may sexual na tema ay sexual harassment na?
Dapat magsumbong kapag may sexual harassment.
Paano po pag binalikan ang nagrereklamo ng kanyang boss?
May sexual harassment po ba kung sa labas ng office nangyari between boss and staff?
Para sa akin po, yung sexual harassment is, halimbawa may na-violate na employee, sexual, pwedeng indirect or direct, and either verbal, physical, between employees.
Sexual harassment ay hindi lang po para sa mga babae, para din po sa mga lalaki. Lahat naman po kasi na-harass pagdating pagdating sa mga sexual harassment.
Harassment for me, isang mali siya sa pagitan ng isang babae at lalaki kapag binabas ko yung babae.
Ang sexual harassment ay isang malicious na ginagawa ng isang lalaki sa babae without consent, at ito ay hindi dapat tinotolerate sa kahit na saan mang lugar, sa kahit na anumang sitwasyon. Sa akin, ang sexual harassment ay hindi lang lalaki yung offender. Pwede rin po siyang babae. Parehas po dapat, kumbaga applicable po sa lahat yun, babae o lalaki. Pwede pong makakomit ng sexual harassment. Siya po ay either intentional or unintentional. Meron po tayong law na nakabay doon kung pagdating sa sexual harassment.
Yung sexual harassment po is yung kapag yung guy or other girls is may ginagawa sa'yo na hindi mo binibigyan ng consent. Example, folding yung different parts ng body mo ng walang consent. Para sa kapag yung sexual harassment.
Ano yung sexual harassment para sa inyo?
Pang-harassment. Kahit na hindi ka manipuan or yun daw ay na pananalita niya.